2024 has been an incredible year for board gaming. We're going to look at my favorite 10 games that were published in 2024. Hey, I'm Will. This is Cardboard Minute. We love to do solo gaming here, some playthroughs of friends, lots of talk about the industry and development. At least I'd like to do more of that if anybody wants to join me. And, what makes games great and why, and some lists and stuff. And we're going to kick off with first of all, return to the channel in case you didn't see my last review. I've been off for some time, but I am back, baby. I am back. Time for some great content. And at least I think it's great. I mean, I'm just making this here alone in my basement, but I'm having fun doing it. And I'm excited to share with you guys my 10 favorite games of the year. 2024 was a great year for board games. Didn't play as much as previous years, but there was just so many amazing games that have entered my collection and are probably going to stay for a very long time. So I'm going to share those with you guys. Just some quick stats in case you're curious. So first of all of the publishing dates, I got these off of Board Game Geek. Obviously, being in Canada, we get things a little bit later than most of the world. Most games usually get distributed to the United States first, and then eventually kind of shuffle their way across the border into Canada. So we usually get them released a few months to half a year, maybe even longer, after our southern friends get them. And so, I wanted to play games right up until the end of January to try to squeeze in as many 2024 releases as possible. Obviously, not everything is even out in Canada yet, so there's some games that I've gotten pre-order, or friends have in pre-order that we're excited about, but just are not here yet. So, out of the Board Game Geek published in 2024 games, I've played a total of 60 different games that were published last year, which is a lot. Because obviously these are ones that me and or my friends have been excited for and have brought in. I've played 275. So those games, I've played them 275 times. And obviously some of them I play once and don't like it and then shove it off. And the total plays last year was 428 plays last year, and that's all in person with a physical copy of the board game. I don't usually count digital games on my plays, and sometimes I forget to add plays to my list as well. This has been about 100 plays less than last year, so I lost about a fifth of my plays. Just, from different circumstances, not able to get as much in, but like I said, I'm back. This is I think 2025 is going to be an awesome year. There's already lots of games looking forward to. I'll probably do a list later of games I'm watching out for. But first, let's retrospective look back. Now, I'm going to do a couple of honorable mentions first, because there are some games that, may or may not have been in this list if maybe I got to play them a little more. So a few different categories of honorable mentions here, so you know what not to expect on my list. I've not yet played Inventors of the South Tigris. So this is a Sean Phillips and S.C. McDonald game. I usually very much enjoy their games, but I just haven't gone around to playing their newest one yet. So off the list it goes. Also, in terms of campaign games, Seven Citadel and Eggemonia, I both loved the start of their games, but just haven't really got into them enough and saw enough content for me to feel like I was ready to place them on the list. So they're off the list as well. But I'm hoping to get more of them on the table, and then maybe you'll see a bigger review of them later. Also, I'm leaving Slay the Spire off. Slay the Spire, as you have probably heard, is a very popular board game conversion of a video game that is a digital card game. And I have played the absolute ton out of Slay the Spire on my phone. I'm currently on Ascension 8 on all characters. are completed essentially in all characters. So, it shows them how much I've played it. And the physical version is a really spectacular adaptation, the way they've simplified things, bringing in the multiplayer cooperative so you can like help each other fight monsters and stuff is all brilliant, it's all well done. If you have not experienced Slay the Spire, you've heard good things about it, go check it out. But I didn't feel right putting on the list because I would just rather play the digital version solo. But I have enjoyed playing my multiplayer hobbies as well. So it's cut off the list. And last, I'm going to start off with my number 11, Lord of the Rings Duel. This is kind of a take on Seven Wonders Duel, which is a card drafting game by Anton Boza and Bruno Cathala. This is my number 11 because I only played it a couple times, but if you feel like my list is invalid for whatever reason, just sub this one in instead. You're probably safe to do that. So we're going to bring it back here. Start at the bottom, number 10. And by the way, I had a hard time making this. I had a hard time even narrowing it down from 20 to 10. It was so hard because there's so many great games. That's why I squeezed in some honorable mentions and stuff. So like any one of these 10 is just spectacular games. If you think they're in the genre, have mechanisms that you might enjoy, they will probably do you well. I love them. They're all likely going to be in my top 100 games of all time in various places because they're all just fantastic. So number 10, we're starting off with low indie publisher Leviathan Wilds. This is by Mooncrab Games, designed by Justin Kimbane and Todd Miklich or something. I got to play this originally on, I guess it was pre-funding. I got to play a demo of it on Tabletop Simulator and knew it was going to be an absolutely incredible game. So backed it, and in this game you are essentially climbing up the physical bodies of these giant creatures with the attempt to break the evil like crystals that are forming on their bodies and turning them angry and turning them mean. So you are trying to save the creatures. As a cooperative game, there's tons of different characters to choose from and different styles to choose from. You shuffle those two decks together, and you are working at, like I said, climbing up the monsters and breaking crystals. The monsters trying to throw you off. Each of the monsters does something different and interesting, and they also escalate throughout the game and get more and more dangerous. The movement abilities, jumping, from like this leg over to the arm and climb up the arm and break the crystal in his shoulder, and all that stuff is very interesting, very tense. A lot of great cooperative play here, and solo also works fantastically. So really fantastic game there. Leviathan Wilds. This is going to quickly get out of the hand with the stacking here. Because I got some big stuff coming. Number 9. I have definitely not finished this, but I've played enough. It's going on the list. And this is very heavy. Fate Forged Chronicles of Khan. This is a game by Gordon Kalea, I believe it's pronounced correctly. This is you could say dungeon crawl. It does use an app. It is app assisted to help with the triggering of the kind of like special surprise actions with enemies, as well as to kind of maybe obscure parts of the board in places, handle some story beats so that stuff you do matters later. So even if you take different paths, characters might recognize you and things happen because of that. And from what I hear from the developers and some of their talks with the game, there's also some balancing that happens behind the scenes too. So if you're not doing so well, maybe things will happen in the game that will give you a little leg up so that you're not hurting too bad. But Fate Forge, based on the Vengeance dice system. I already love Vengeance Roll and Fights, which you can see some DNA out of it here, and I haven't played through that on my channel. But this is a tense, high speed, but still puzzly, dungeon crawl game where every action matters. There's and if you're not into the story, there's also some kind of one shots that you can play on the app with friends. I've done some of those with friends too, and I've played a bunch of the story by myself. And it is just super fun. In terms of the feel, most dungeon crawls, you take a step, you roll a bunch of dice, you hit a bunch of guys, and you take a step and you roll a bunch of dice and hit a bunch of guys. This one, you are like sprinting through the maze, trying to if enemies chasing you behind, and you're like, shoot this guy and stab that guy and jump through this doorway, and it's a sprint. So much fun. Next, we are looking at, this is actually probably one of my favorite puzzle games of the year. This is Harmonies. So this cute little package is by Johan Benvenuto Benvenuto. And in it you are either playing solo or multiplayer, and you're drafting tiles, or not tiles, but wooden discs, essentially they're tiles, to build on your little nature map. And you are trying to create the ideal nature for animals to settle in. So you get animal cards to then, once you've fulfilled their landscape, you can relocate those animals to those locations. And obviously, the more animals you put out, the more points you get. You also score points for the landscape itself. There's a couple different boards that have slight twists on scoring. And it's just a lovely drafting game placement. The art is gorgeous. The game has a physicality to it, so things stack and rise up off the board, so it looks beautiful, and it's easy to play, easy to teach. Absolutely knocked it off the park. I haven't done a playthrough of this yet. Spoiler, I don't think it's going to beat Cascadia as the king of tile placement, nature-themed games, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And that's number 8. Just wait for what's coming up next year. Okay, this one is a sequel to a larger, older game. They've stripped out some of the area control elements and made it awesome. Endeavor Deep Sea. Let's see, this is by Carl de Visser and Jarrett Gray. Even just the look of it, it looks like we're going diving here. Fun box cover. I'm not going to compare too deeply into the previous Endeavor because I haven't done a playthrough this yet. Let me know in the comments if any of these games you want to have a playthrough in the channel to see how it looks. Endeavor has not just some fascinating engine building where you are progressing steadily throughout the game, but you have to make tough choices over, do you want more actions? Do you want to free up old actions? And how far do you want to move? And you are, you're gaining such a huge sense of exploration from this game because there are so many tiles and things to explore as you're diving deeper or spreading outwards. And you're, it looks amazing on the board. You have these fascinating actions. You're trying to combo. Okay, maybe I'll explore this tile and get some bonuses, and then move my submarine over there and go scuba diving and find some fish, and then write a report about it to get some bonuses to upgrade. My one of my assistants so that his action gets better, and it is so much fun. There is a whole bunch of different scenarios. The solo is incredibly hard, but the cooperative is great. The competitive is even better. And it is, there's so much theme and stuff to go in here that highly recommend you check it out. And it still has a very kind of Euro-y, crunchy feel, even though there's a lot of theme behind it too. All right, after Endeavor Deep Sea, we're going over to Little Tiny Box here. And this is Kinfire Delve, Callus's Lab. And I now have all 3 of these. 2 of them came out in 2024. That's why it's going on the list. And both for solo and multiplayer, absolutely fantastic. Not only is it some of the most beautiful artwork on the cards with inlaid gold foil, but the mechanisms of either helping each other or just squeezing one a little more, can I fight this guy and kick him off before things get worse? Or maybe fight this guy for these bonuses. Each box feels different, has wildly different characters and bosses in them. You can mix and match different boxes to play different characters against different bosses. Even the bosses themselves have different ways to kind of change them up a bit. And you're almost never going to see the same game twice, because out of like a massive deck where you're like diving deeper into the deck, more like cards get discarded so that you don't see what's happening there. There is just so much love. It's such a fun, tight, engaging, cooperative or solo card game in a little box. This has been a huge win for me and my friends. And it's just such much fun, easy to pull out whenever you want. All right. Now we are going into the heaviest game, the heaviest physically. Excuse me a second here. And this is... Thanks for you probably recognize this already. This is Andromeda's Edge, designed by Luke Laurie. Whew, where am I going to put this thing? Andromeda's Edge is the pseudo-sequel to Dwellings of Eldervale. Dwellings of Eldervale, I always enjoyed. It was fun. The solo wasn't great. It was functional, but it was okay. But the ability to take fancy races and throw them against each other in, some combat, some engine building. The engine building was very light, and even if you leaned into it really hard, it didn't always pan out well. And just as you got things going, the game was over. So while I very much enjoyed it, Andromeda's Edge is the one for me. I know not all my friends agree. Some of them like Dwellings of Eldervale better, but Andromeda's Edge brings, absolutely fantastic art and design and miniatures. I mean, the other one looks good on the table too, but I like the gameplay better here. The combat feels a little bit fair, but still having the high twists of the other one. There's more ways you can manipulate stuff, and then the engine building. Boy, getting the modules and building out so that when you take those recall turns and you are triggering abilities on modules is so much more impactful than on Dwellings of Eldervale. It does lengthen the game a bit, but there is more reasons to do that. There's more bonuses for going up tracks. Yes, you are dwelling a lot less in this game, like building space stations in this version, but of the engine building and kind of chunky decisions are far superior in this, as well as the AI has a lot more going for it. It actually fights you on things. It's smarter and has more flavors than just the one. So super fun. I don't think you need the big box, although the miniatures are gorgeous. You don't necessarily need the big one, but it's a fun big experience. It's not a short game, Again, if you want to see a playthrough of it, I'll do that. But I had a ton of fun playing this one this year. And then we're going super crunchy. This is another big Kickstarter. Absolutely gorgeous. With Unconscious Mind. Whew. Keep the box together here. This is Fantasia Games, designed by Yoma Zaks. I've got it here. Laskas, Johnny Pack, Yoma, and Antonio Zaks. You can kind of see when I shift around here, there's some kind of hologram cover. But I mean, this, a lot of the art and the fun of this here is it combines Andrew Bosley's art with Vincent Dutrait's art. Vincent Dutrait does all the gritty, real world, the people who are mentally unstable and have things troubling them, and then the psychiatrists. You are, living in that real world, and then Andrew Bosley does the dream world, and these gorgeous, bizarre, full-color cards that represent the dream world. And of course, in order to cure the person of whatever is ailing them, you have to alleviate their dreams. There is a literal see-through cards with a Rorschach over them that goes on top of the characters. And so in this game, you are, again, it's super complicated. Some people think it has got maybe too many more mechanisms than is required. I disagree. I think they're all wonderful and fit well together. Even the ones that don't seem important at the start, like the city. I have leaned hard into the city and have done very well with it. But you are doing some worker placement to take actions, to create insights, to heal people, to write papers, move your ink blot for mode bonuses. It's pretty abstract in the sense, but I still feel like the theme really kind of shines through, both in the art and in things you're doing. Some neat puzzles. I don't think you need the big box. I think the retail will be just fine. But if you want to hear my opinions on the expansions, which again came in the Kickstarter, we can do those in a separate review. But good, solid, crunchy Euro board game. A lot of fun. All right, now where are we here? This is my Uwe Rosenberg, and this one keeps climbing the more I play it. So we'll see where it ends up in my top 100 of all-time lists. But this is Black Forest. This is an Uwe Rosenberg game. Very different kind of art style and stuff than his usual games, but and a bigger box. But this makes use of his resource wheels, like in Glass Road or Orienberger Canal, which has a reprint coming out, which I would love to get a hold of. So publishers, if you're interested, I've been buying all of your games with my own money, and I'd love to do a preview or a review of something. But Uwe Rosenberg, he's a little divisive in my friend group, mostly because that not everyone loves the pastoral themes. But I think they have a cozy feel. They're all very easy to remember. I think he excels in games that have a lot of choices in what to do and how to do it, but I've almost never had to look up their games in a rule book after I've learned them. Even after returning to them after some time, the games just flow so smoothly and have such, relatively simple rules, but have a wealth of sandboxy choices to choose from. And Black Forest absolutely leans into this and has, I've done a review of Glass Road and liked it a lot for a number of years, but Black Forest has kind of supplanted it. It has the same resource wheels where as you gain resources, they automatically get spent to create more advanced resources, but add into this a worker placement where you're moving around this map into different villages in order to take actions. You're getting each other's way if other players are your own way for solo. And, there's contract fulfillment, and you're building, out of this huge array of buildings that changes a little bit throughout the game. I think they could have used a little bit more buildings, but I mean, really, with the double-sided nature of them, there's a ton to choose from. So there's just so many different strategies and things you can lean into and try and do. And while there's a plethora of choices in difficult strategy, everything feels good doing it, and it is just such a joy to get out there and to play. So that is Black Forest. All right, we're down to the final two, and I mean, really, like I said, my top 10 here, these are all deserving of being in people's collections because they're all fantastic games. Obviously, not everybody's going to like every genre and every type of game. But if you're thinking, if you want recommendations, you can always let me know what games that you like, and I might be able to recommend something that is similar. So number two and number three were tough to decide the order of. They were very tough because this one exploded onto the scene, and this is Stefan Feld's Civolution. I mean, you can feel the weight. Some of these boxes are a little big. Maybe I like big games a little bit too much. But Civolution, theme's a little weird. You're taking a school exam being run by an AI, and the exam is a Civ video game or something. But you want sandbox of things to do? Civolution has it in spades. you have this huge array of actions on a board, and you are rolling dice, and then using those dice to kind of pair up to match different actions that you want to do. So maybe you're growing your population, or you're moving, or you're getting resources, or you're changing their physical aspects. Like, now they have wings, and now they have extra legs, or, you are growing their like not human population exactly, but you are changing, who they are and their properties. You are making them smarter and faster. You are giving them new technologies and things. And, this is one of the most sandboxy Civ games I've ever played. There's not really combat. It's a pretty friendly Civ game. So you can't really call it a 4X in that case, but there's exploration, there's tons of technology. And it is, while it's very crunchy and the rules teach is massive, once it got going, I don't think we looked in the rule books maybe more than once. And the solo also works extremely well. For a game of this complexity to flow that smoothly and have, that much desire of just like one more try. I want to get in again. Just like, the best of games, on a computer, you're like, one more turn, one more game, one more try. I'm going to do this time. I'm going to, I can do this a little better than before. It comes together just spectacularly and is so much fun. So that's Civilization by Stephen Feld. And then finally, my game of the year. I've already played this game a bunch of times, and it is a standalone. It's not an expansion, but I can understand if it is published in 2024. Okay, it's definitely published in 2024 as per Board Game Geek. You don't need the previous games in the series in order to enjoy this, but boy, am I glad they came out with Imperium Horizons by Nigel Buckle and David Turksey. Boy, you're talking Civ games with a lot to see. Imperium Horizons has, how many different factions? Does it even say in the box? I'm not even sure. I don't even think it says in the box. But there's like 550 cards. You combine this with the previous two games, and it's all in here. I made a little custom foam insert to store it all. Although I would love to have a real insert. This is a beast. Every single faction or every single race has not even a race. It's more civilization. These are all based off of ancient civilizations, and they are all placed so differently. It covers, and especially like this box covers ones you don't usually see in video games or board games that I can really appreciate. Like for example, it's got the Inuit, right? Which as a Canadian, like we're relatively close to the Inuit. I've personally been an exchange student to a small Inuit community up north and spent some time with the families there. So like them being represented as a culture in this game and the challenges that they faced as a culture, or they still face, maybe not so much anymore, but they faced historically as a culture, or even just like all the different cultures and civilizations from across history are so unique, and you can tell so much love and history has been put into these, and research into what were some of the key moments, where did they live, who's some of the key figures that impacted them as a culture and defined who they were. Some of their, like, this brings in trading, were they a trade-heavy culture? Were they more of a warring culture? There is just so much to explore here. The game is long. It's probably best at 2 or maybe solo. Solo is fantastic. I'm surprisingly a big fan of the simplified solo because it just lets you do your own thing. But if you want to face off against in the civilizations, you can have the Inuit go against the Romans, which obviously never happened. But it would be, if you could do interesting matchups like that. And, you know, there's just so much to explore here. Again, games are long. They're not too incredibly complicated. The rulebooks are surprisingly simple for what it is and what you do. But there's just so much meaty, tough choices in every single turn that this game is absolutely fascinating and has become not only my favorite game of the year, but one of my favorite games of all time. And you could see the previous versions. If you want to start with a smaller box, you can get one of the older Imperium Legends or Imperium Classics, which, like I said, is a smaller box with less factions. I think those have 8, maybe this one has 11. So you want to start off there, or just dive right in and get this big boy here with a ton of stuff. So that is just 10, plus 1, and a few honorable mentions. Absolutely incredible games of the year. So much to love, and this hobby never ceases to excite me and impress me, and just the new things that come out, new experiences, the love that is put into creating these is works of art and works of design, both visually, graphically, mechanisms, production-wise. The hobby is, while we're, I don't know how fast the hobby is growing anymore. Like, we're not quite as much acceleration as we were a few years ago, during COVID or pre-COVID. I think that the quality of games that are coming out are just incredible. The designers and publishers and graphic designers and artists are doing better than ever to make wonderful new entries into our hobby. So I'm excited for next year. If there's anything I should check out for next year, leave that in the comments below, and maybe I'll add it into my, expected games of the year, my games to watch for next year list. And I'm going to end there. Thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm back. I'm making content. Show a little love, and we'll see you next time.